Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about the dark side of Aries. Now, when I'm talking about this, of course, it does apply and pertain to the Sun, Moon, and Ascendant. And when I'm discussing this, I'm not talking about like a dark side being real nefarious or evil or what have you, but what I'm saying is the most negative expressions or potential negative manifestations, expressions of the zodiac sign. Well, anyway, people, first thing is when I look at Aries and the dark side, one thing that comes to mind, I think it's very obvious, of course, the potential volatile, acrimonious nature of the sign. And the thing about Aries is that they could be very easily provoked. Now, they might calm down faster than any of the zodiac signs, other zodiac signs, but they also, on average, they are most easily provoked. It doesn't really take much to get Aries riled up, and if Aries is angry at you or has any animosity toward you, you are going to know it loud and clear. I can remember one time when I was renting a room out from an Aries Sun lady, and one time she just really went off on me, went ballistic over something about hair being in the bathtub and some other thing, and it was just like, it can be over something that might be insignificant, and when they get angry, it can be over something really that's not very important. It could be something that's trivial. And the thing about Aries too, this also ties into the fact that even though they're not a fixed sign, they could be very single-minded and they could be very fixated on their own opinions on something, and really can at times be oblivious to what the other person is saying. A dark side of Aries, another dark side of Aries could be being egocentric and perhaps overly self-centered, just concerned at some Aries might just be like about me, and that's it, and whatever else, whoever else is around, whatever. And I'm not saying all Aries are like this, but when I'm talking about it in its most negative expression, and this could happen, of course, with strongly afflicted Aries Sun, Moon, Ascendant positions. Now, another thing about Aries, I think what's interesting as far as the dark side of them. Now, Aries in a solar or natal chart will often have Pisces on the cusp of the 12th house. And Aries can sometimes have difficulty expressing the compassion and empathetic side of their nature. But what's interesting about this in their chart is that in a solar or natal chart, they'll often have the zodiac sign Cancer on the 4th house cusp, which could indicate how you act when maybe you're by yourself and at your own core, and really what you don't really show to others a lot. And Aries, even though they might not show a lot of this sympathy outwardly, they could also be more sensitive, I think, than a lot of people are cognizant of, because Aries can sometimes, they take things more to heart. And if somebody says something, they might take it like, somebody might make a general remark about something, for example, and they might think, well, oh, that had to be a slight toward, that had to be a derogatory reference toward me. I had it at one time, I say this very loosely, an Aries Sun friend, Sun and Aries friend, and a number of times when I was just making a general statement, he would seem like he would take it to heart, and he would give me some unnecessary outspokens because of this. He wanted me to it was like we were talking about, in my opinion, I had stated to him that I didn't want to spend money on such and such because I thought it was frivolous, and I didn't see where it would be right, considering there's a lot of people out there that are going hungry, and it just made me feel wrong and made me feel guilty about perhaps spending the money on it. And he just kind of went off on me. And it goes back to the fact that Aries are just very simply, very easily provoked, and can become bellicose quicker than a lot of people can realize at times. And Aries too. I remember an astrology book one time I read during my early years of astrology when I was first getting interested in it. It said a crime of Aries was something about the crime of accidental violence, and I think a lot of that is just the fact that they could just go off kind of spontaneously, and they might Aries anger. I don't see it as in general. It's not often not premeditated, but it's really kind of just happens very quickly. They could be, very sedated, very passive this one moment. Then the next minute, it's like, boom, you light this match, and they can just go off. And Aries, too, another thing about them is that I think, like, it's a little different than, say, Capricorn. Capricorn, in its worst expression, might express ruthless, say, ambition to get to the top. But sometimes I think Aries, because they want to have that leadership position a lot, will sometimes can be ruthless in terms of just maybe romping over people in order to get that. It's not so much with Capricorn as far as the ambition aspect of things go, but with Aries, it's more about simply being the best, or being really being like number one, so to speak. And Aries is about leadership, and they like to often will do what they can to get to that number one position. They don't want to be behind people. Generally, Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. It likes to lead. I don't know if many of you noticed this, but especially Aries rising and Aries sun, you may see a number of them actually walk with their head coming prior to the rest of the body. I think that is interesting as far as Aries goes. And Aries really is just a sign that's really not afraid of confrontation. I think sometimes it might look for a problem when there might not be one because of that combative streak in them. Aries, and also in another dark side of Aries, another strong negative expression, could be using perhaps intimidation toward others, because this could just be, or maybe even in some rare instances, being a provoker in terms of starting something with somebody. And a lot of this could stem, and at times, which may not be often, most Aries aren't insecure. I don't believe most are very self-assured and self-confident. But if you have an Aries that's insecure, you could find one doing a lot of provoking and instigating fights when it doesn't need to be. So anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment for the dark side of Aries. And stay tuned next time, where I'll be talking about the dark side of Taurus. Two things I want to get with you on before I head out. Firstly, the stars may impel but do not compel. And secondly, never isolate any single astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, configuration, influence, or what have you, and make an analysis of a person, astrologically speaking, based on this alone, because astrologically speaking, the person is the sum of all their components in their natal chart, and not just one. Until next time, people, stay well.